Welcome back to CourtTV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. The evidence against OnlyFans model turned alleged killer Courtney Clenny is piling up. Text messages between her and her boyfriend in the days leading up to his death seemed to paint Clenny as a violent and manipulative abuser. Now, those texts revealed this wasn't the first time Clenny had attacked Obumseli. In one exchange from Christian to Courtney on February 28th, he says to her, "Just letting you know I woke up stupid. Not like stupid as in our relationship, but stupid as in like what I told you the other day. Is love going to kill me?" And the text continues, time after time. I tell you, hey, please, like you're hurting me. And yes, you'll say yeah, but then just repeats. What if the knife sliced my lip, my cheek, my eye? What might happen next time? Now, he goes on to allege that in February alone, she cheated on him, called him racial slurs, and had slapped him where he had already received stitches, so the wound reopened. Now, the texts come on the heels of the Miami-Dade State's Attorney's Office releasing phone recordings on Wednesday that were secretly recorded by Obumseli. Take a listen to this interaction between the ill-fated couple just weeks before Clenny allegedly stabbed Obumseli to death.
When it is 5 a.m.,
Decide whether or not you're done gaslighting me. Decide whether or not you're done gaslighting.
I am mad that you told me to come.
Decide right now.
Courtney, that's a word. I asked you so many times that I don't know, and I apologize. But you hit me.
Shut the don't.
All right, joining me as my guest for this hour, registered nurse, certified domestic violence expert, and criminal defense attorney Marie Pereira, and appellate and trial attorney Matthew Barhoma. Thank you both for joining me this evening. And Marie, I have to start with you because I want to get your sense. I mean, you know, we get our sense from reading these texts, and clearly this appears to be an abusive relationship, and it flies in the face of what we know of what abusive relationship looks like because it seems to be the female abusing the male, but those are just my thoughts. What are yours?
I think the leaking of these text messages really from a defense perspective is very damaging. I think that something needs to be done about this, and I think the DA's office is really trying to try this case in the court of public opinion, and I think it may backfire on them because so many people are seeing these things. How are you ever going to pick an impartial jury? They're creating situations for appeal before the trial even starts, so they need to be careful about that.
All right.
But I want to say that before we go on and accuse her and condemn her, remember she is presumed innocent. Mm-hmm. And parts of texts, portions of emails, excerpts from videos don't give the other side. This could be a situation where it's bi-directional mutual abuse. Mm-hmm. And we need to be careful about that because it's only one side we're seeing right now.
All right, fair enough. Let me hear from you, Matthew. What was your take on some of these text messages and these text strings?
You know, I agree to some extent, okay? But all that we've seen so far is one-sided, okay? We've seen the domestic violence go from her to him. And this could be very good for the prosecution's case by releasing all this information if and only if they know she doesn't have a valid defense, right? She's innocent until proven guilty, right? So if she can't put up enough evidence to be able to circumvent this, to be able to show, listen, I actually was the victim, right? Then ultimately, this is a one-sided show. All that we've seen has been from her to him. She's going to need to put up evidence, and right now she's under no burden. They're going to have to prove that she's guilty, and as soon as they do, as soon as they get through their case in chief, she's going to be able to put on her case, and she better have a lot to show for it. That's what it's looking like, and that's what the DA is trying to make it look like as of now.
All right, let's look at some more of these texts between these two. This is from Obumseli. He starts it off, and what he says is, "You hit me in the face with your phone, then continue to hit me in the back of my head with the phone. Now I have a lump. I'm bleeding, throwing up, and I think I have a mild concussion." So Clenny responds, "I'm sorry for hitting you in the face and in the back of your head and spitting on you. Is it right? No. You just piss me off." Clenny, "Enjoy the hospital. Tell them your side, then I'll tell them what happened." The victim responds, "I'm not saying anything." He later tells her he is going to say that it was a football injury. Now, Marie, I have to say I'm surprised at your reaction to this because absolutely, these are text conversations, so we don't have just one side, right? We're seeing both sides of a conversation here. And what I see, and I've learned a lot of this from you, is a lot of the telltale signs of what an abuser is like. The taunting, the idea that they're saying sorry, but they're still continuing to abuse, or at least, and she doesn't seem to deny what she's saying. There is a part there that says, I'm going to tell them what happened, et cetera, which says, okay, we don't know exactly what happened between the two, but again, it really reads to me like there's one person in control here, and that person is Courtney Clenny.
Well, we all know domestic abuse is based on control. And I have to agree with you to some extent. When you read all the text with some of her responses, she's not denying what happened. And he's very specific about his injuries. And she's not saying, well, make sure you tell them I hit you with my phone because you punched me in my face. You're right about that, because there are two responses here. In the prior texts, they were only reading portions of his emails. So that's why I said that. But seeing both of them, her response is not really negating the fact that she is the aggressor, she is the abuser, and he appears to be, in these texts, to be the victim here. It's not looking good for her at all, because you can't be a victim and claim self-defense when you're the aggressor. And that's what this is showing me right now.
Yeah, no question about it. We also learned, Matthew, that she seemed to have stabbed him one other time before. There seems to be a text exchange where he's talking about being in pain because she had stabbed him in his leg, and he was dealing with that. My question for you is this the type of evidence that will ever make it in front of a jury, or is this too prejudicial, or does it go too much towards something else that this court may have a problem with presenting this to a jury?
Well, so here's the thing. I mean, the knife seems to be her MO, okay? I mean, she's, the actual killing was a stabbing. The text messages show a stabbing. So I actually think they're going to be able to establish some of these items by MO evidence, right? This is her modus operandi. This is how she ultimately carried out a lot of these inflictions, a lot of these, a lot of the actual domestic violence against them. So I actually think that a lot of these items aren't going to be that prejudicial. I think that the prosecutor is going to be able to introduce some of these items specifically because of the multiple instances in which we see it. I don't think that that's going to be prejudicial. I think that's going to be dispositive of her MO.
All right, fair enough. And, Marie, there's a lot for prosecutors to overcome in this case. There's the logistics of it, the optics of it. You have a Caucasian woman, you have a black male, and I believe it's fair to say, from everything we've heard about this case, that there might have been mutual violence between the two. Now, who was in control or not, those are other issues. We talked a little bit about that. But clearly, there are people who have said they've seen Abumseli hit her. We've heard some things that she certainly hit him and has done things to him. So they have to show this jury and prove to this jury that in this private moment, in this apartment, that she was not defending herself from him. So all this is really going to be needed to overcome a lot of those difficulties in this case, don't you think?
It's going to be very hard, and these videos and these text messages and emails are not helping her position at all, because it does make her out to be the aggressor. When you hear the tone of her voice, she sounds like a terror. She sounds like a witch. She really does. And this is not helping her at all, because she has to show that she was the meek one. She was the victim. He was the aggressor. So far, none of what we're seeing is supporting her claims. I would say that her defense better find a good expert to explain her explosive reaction to him as part of her trauma. More like it's fear. It wasn't intentional on her part. They need an expert to explain her reaction to to him because it was traumatic based on his prior abuse of her. That's what they need.
And Matthew, and nothing we've seen so far, and again, we're only seeing tiny snippets. Nothing we've seen so far suggests that she was in any way afraid of him. He, throughout anything we've seen, seems more afraid of her. But here's the other aspect I want to ask you about, Matthew. We see a lot in the text exchange about drugs. Her needing drugs, getting drugs, doing coke, doing this, that, and the other thing, going to the smoke shop. What role do you think that might play in this case? Because drugs may be a factor in how she's acting, responding, dealing with life.
The prosecutor is going to use drugs. They're going to use all these messy things about her lifestyle to muddy up her credibility. Okay. Not only that, it could also be inducive to the domestic violence. It could aid to it. It could be almost the fuel to the fire, right? So there's probably going to be many justifications, right? And they're going to be able to assess that, bring that in to show that she was maybe a terrible character, right? That's not going to sit very well with the jury. Okay. She's going to need to combat against that and show some kind of defense. But I agree. He seems to be the person that always walks away. Even in that video that was released, that body cam video, he was left outside. He would leave the apartment, right? And so ultimately, I think all of these things combined really muddy up her character, muddy up her defense.
Yeah, and you can certainly see why prosecutors decided to bring charges in the case. It took months and months, long investigation. She was actually not even under investigation until the family kept persisting and saying, you need to look into this. Finally, months later, charges were brought. All right, Matthew, Marie, stand by. Folks, if you or someone you know is in need of assistance, male or female, you can reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. All right, please do that. Don't be ashamed. If you need help, just reach out. All right. Moving on now. 2 paramedics and 3 police officers linked to the death of a 23-year-old man were scheduled for an arraignment today, but it was postponed. We're going to have the details on that. And then later in our Talk Back segment, the families of the victims of the Parkland school massacre had the chance to confront the shooter during his sentencing hearing earlier this week. So we want to know what you thought about the victim impact statements. Let us know what you think. We'll share some of your comments later on in the show. Keep it right here on Court TV.